Hello and welcome to the first video of my 13 days of Halloween. I will be releasing a video every day covering a Halloween or horror movie leading up to the actual day, with a final video on the super spooky day that is extra special. So if you like this video, come back every day at 9 AM EST for more spooky fun. Last year I tackled some of the biggest and best horror movies: Scream, Halloween, The Shining, but I also made sure to include some lesser known fun picks in there, so undoubtedly a couple of the all-timers got thrown to the side. Well, I'm here to rectify that this year on the first day with Wes Craven's Nightmare on Elm Street. The iconicness kind of speaks for itself in this one. Freddy Krueger stalks people in their sleep and enters their dreams, turning them into a nightmare. I'm going to level with you really quick. If you look past the mass child murder, Freddy is unbelievably based. Dude was burnt alive, probably deserved it, but then waits and bides his time for like at least 15 years. Nancy doesn't remember it all happening, so it had to be a while ago. So he waits at least these 15 years and decides to get his revenge by scaring and killing the children of the people who lit him on fire. His commitment to child murder has to be respected. He couldn't attack the adults' dreams, get revenge directly. He had to wait for them to build a family and take out the kids. Such an absurd, roundabout way for the ghost demon to go about things that I frankly love. I want to watch the other movies just to figure out if he ever does end up killing adults. I would be a little sad if he did. He has a gimmick, and quite frankly, I think he should stick to it. I did find the movie to be an effective entry in the horror genre. While Freddy was a little goofy, the way he manifests is what is scary. Look at the dude. He wears a Christmas sweater and top hat. The only scary thing about him is maybe his skin, but that's just like burnt skin. It's not that scary. He has a very impractical weapon too. He just turned his fingers into knives. It's basically the everything everywhere all at once gag, but with knives instead of hot dogs. If I encountered him in my nightmare, it wouldn't be the 10 scariest things I have dreamt of this year. That is, until I woke up and saw slashes in my favorite nightgown. That is when the movie becomes scary. I have raged against the magical nonsense horror since the inception of this channel, quite literally. I just don't find magically enhanced villains all that scary. But Freddy sits in an interesting middle ground between the fantasy and psychological horror I prefer. It is not realistic, but him appearing in your dreams makes it psychological in a way. He shows himself to you in a way that makes it scary. I have dealt with periods of vivid nightmares. It is truly hell. Scared to go to sleep because you know it will be miserable, knowing the feeling you will have all night. It sucks the energy out of you. It was one of the worst 3 weeks of my life when I was having nightmares every night or whenever I was napping. Adding on to that, a guy trying to murder me is actually frightening though. There are consequences to sleeping. I didn't want to sleep when my life wasn't on the line. It just felt so real and actually scary to me. The longer you go without sleep, the harder it gets. The more delusional you become, harder to know the truth from vision. It becomes an Ouroboros of difficulty the longer you go on. And you are all alone. There is no more vulnerable time than sleeping. You can't be helped. At best, you can be shaken awake, but it might be too late. Freddy is not scary based on design alone, but instead he breaks down your psyche bit by bit, the kind of horror I resonate with more. My favorite scene in the movie, and a great example of how Freddy can affect your physical being as well, is when Freddy kills Tina. Her body shook violently, blood pouring out as she levitated. I was in shock at just how unnatural and painful it looked. She was slammed against the wall and ceiling, ragdolled bloodingly. A striking visual, the type of scene that will stick with me well past anything else in the movie. It wasn't overly corny, not trying too hard to be spooky, just genuine, fear-inducing attack. I really enjoyed the plot development throughout. Getting a sleep study done is a surprisingly smart thing for a horror movie character to do. Figuring out that you can get his hat from the dream, leading to the booby trap and bringing him out, all great stuff. I particularly enjoyed when the characters would plead with others to believe them. It made the whole problem hypothetical and hard to prove. You wouldn't believe if somebody told you your girlfriend was sliced open by the nightmare she had. Most horror movies, there is some physical evidence, some person to catch, but not with Freddy Krueger. Now, I was exact with my words earlier, because what I said is that I enjoyed the plot development throughout. While that is true for the most part, I hate both endings this movie has. That's right, they don't just botch the ending once, but twice. So the first one is Nancy just stops being afraid of Freddy. He is chasing her, she realizes he feeds on her fear, so she stops finding him scary and the dude dies. Not being scary anymore is the least satisfying way to defeat evil ever. Movies are meant to build up to a point. The end of all the violence being so easy leaves me dissatisfied as a viewer. I also can't buy into just eliminating all of the fear from your mind. People don't control their thoughts or their fears. You can't just stop being afraid of stuff. Every time I get a shot or have blood drawn, I get scared. I tell myself it isn't that bad, there's no reason to be scared. Then it actually happens. It isn't that bad, and I tell myself not to be scared next time. Well, that next time comes around, and I'm a little baby again. You don't control your fear, and having to eliminate a fear on a flip of a dime to dissolve Freddy feels like a bullshit cop-out. Then, for the second ending, she goes outside to find her friends and mom alive again, gets in a car that has Freddy's design, gets locked in and driven away. I have two interpretations of this that both infuriate me. The first one ruins the previous scene. It could be that she is actually still scared of Freddy, and this is just another trick of hers. He dissolved to make her feel safe. But why would he do that? He had his fun already, and should have just killed her at that point. The second interpretation is even worse somehow. I see this scene and think it might be implying the entire movie was a dream of Nancy. Yeah, unfortunately this movie might be dealing with some dreamception, and the entire movie is utterly pointless at that point. I actually can't be bothered to care about your movie and think about it if the final scene wipes everything away as it was just a dream. There are better ways to set up a series than burn your first movie to a ground. That's why this ending was put in, because they wanted to make sequels. You could have done literally anything else other than burn the first movie down and make it pointless. I want to talk about Wes Craven. He was an Ohioan just like me. We got at least one good one out there. Then this dude's actual name is Wesley Earl Craven. I didn't think Craven would have been his actual real last name. By its definition in history, Craven means coward. This dude came out and defiled his own name by making horror movies. It was prophesized this dude would be a massive scaredy cat, but he went on to become one of the most iconic horror directors we have seen. He was the mind behind two of the biggest horror franchises the world have seen, and also Swamp Thing, but we don't really want to talk about that one. The other thing I love about him is he was also a petty bitch. The name Freddy Krueger comes from a real kid Wes used to know named Fred Krueger. That Fred bullied Wes in their childhood. What a baller movie to rip his name and make something far more famous than he can even dream of. And if he did manage to dream of it, that dream would kill him. Imagine being that guy, introducing yourself as Fred Krueger. People are bound to point out the character, and you just have to stew knowing he was named after you. Unable to tell people because you used to be a bully. Wes played the long game and got his revenge. If I was the real life Fred, I would have no choice but to just change my name. Give it up, he can have it. One last point, this movie is Johnny Depp's debut. Fuck that dickhead. Should have never been cast if we're being honest. We will reach debuts that have a career you can look at and celebrate later in the 13 days, but not this one. I'm done talking about him really. And the first day of my Halloween movies draws to a close. As I said at the top of the video, I will be posting a video covering a new horror movie or Halloween movie every day for the next 12 days after this. All at 9 a.m. EST sharp. If you made it this far, I have to assume you enjoyed it. Why don't you subscribe and come back for another review tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. Drop a comment about your thoughts on the movie. I love talking to comments. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Subscribe.